Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Different Spectrums podcast.
Special.
This is a collaboration between us and Earth 894 podcast. Talk about all different types of Marvel nerdy stuff. It's great.
Yes.
Great combos that we had. But in this particular episode, we talked about grief in phase 4, which was a really big topic for phase 4.
Overarching theme, yeah.
Yeah, theme. Let's go with that. And so this is going to be great because we are going to be collaborating with them, hopefully, in the next month or so for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So
4.
yeah.
Is it 4 or 3?
It's 3. It's 3.
Oh, shit.
They've only had 3. Jesus.
I said 4 like 5 times earlier.
I know. I didn't correct you.
Yeah, I know. Why would you? You're like, we're going to wait till he's on camera,
Yeah.
fatty.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to wait till he records to really get to this.
We
had a great discussion with the guys over there.
Yes.
Can't wait for you to see it. Enjoy the new episode. All right.
Yes.
Collaboration.
And before we get out of there, we always got to do our promos real quick. Spence,
Yes.
what do you want the people to do? Where are they going shopping?
They go shopping at Bub's Naturals, of course. Yes, they have all of the fine powders for MCT oil powder. This is mine right here. All great for digestion and energy. That's right. That's right.
Very good.
Also, you can check out Cure Hydration. They have a lot of great hydration packs of all different flavors. I have grapefruit, and it's pretty delicious.
There you go.
Yeah. And guess what? You can get all of these 20% off for your entire order if you use the code DSP20. That is DSP20 as soon as you check out, and you'll get 20% off your entire order.
There you go.
So you don't really have a reason not to buy any of these.
Just check it out.
Yeah, check it out. And then also buy our merch. We have merch here. We have a lot of different logos and just great graphics, I would say.
Yeah.
Great graphics made by us, your hosts.
Your host.
Yes.
A lot of neurodivergent, affirming, and validating stuff that you can check out.
Yes.
A lot of the new stuff I really, really like. The wavy stuff.
Yes, wavy stuff is great. And then also we have a new therapist athletic shirt that you can buy. So if you're a therapist and you want people to know that,
yeah,
go for it and get this shirt.
It's just me.
That's it. I got all the colors, so it's fine.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, that's all. But Naz, anything before we get into this episode?
We appreciate Earth letting us do this podcast and giving us permission to post this because they posted a couple months ago. And of course, check out our link tree. Remember, if you're a therapist or any individuals that are just needing some more help and support, we got a ton of that information in there. All the DSP website stuff is in the link tree as well. If you don't know where that's at, it is in the comment section on YouTube. It's in the comment section on the podcast. And also you can just click on the link in our Instagram. So go ahead. Check those things out. We're excited for all the folks that we're having on the podcast from June, July, and August. And hopefully we can keep it up and keep having good conversations with good people.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Since we're not going to be able to do our outro on this one, much love. Take care.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
To Earth 894, a Marvel podcast where, sometimes we need to pause and reflect because there's a lot of heavy stuff that's been going on in phase 4 of the MCU. Not only has been critically acclaimed as being maybe too long, maybe a little bit off the rails, and what the heck is the point of this phase? And, a lot of it had to do with pandemic and yada, yada, yada. But one of the core essential themes that we've seen across many of the new shows and movies and even specials to a degree has been kind of the harder stuff that sometimes we're not comfortable talking about, which is grief, trauma, the sad stuff. But we got an expert panel on today to help kind of diagnose it a little bit, talk about it, break it down, and find a way to really move on and grow as we approach Phase 5. If it's your first time listening to Earth 894, we are a Marvel podcast where every week we dive into the quantum realm, into the Marvel multiverse sometimes, and we dig out what's been going on in the MCU, give you reviews on the movies and shows. We talk about some really cool stuff. And now it's time for us to talk about one of the coolest things we've been looking forward to all year. My name is Devin Stone, and with me, before we get to our guests, is the guy that you probably have said his favorite catchphrase so many times that if we had it copyrighted and trademarked, you probably would have owed us at least, I don't know, like $7 this year. You know him, you love him. Let's hear it for Louis Tonarini.
We're getting Wolverine. I'm just here because I'm the saddest guy you know. Who knows more about grief than me?
Jesus. Right? Well, as a counselor, you're definitely not the saddest guy, but okay.
The saddest guy Devin knows.
Yeah.
Okay, there we
go. You don't want to play that game with him. He's seen some sadness.
Yeah.
When he looks in the mirror.
Oh.
Damn. That's my secret cap.
That's
I'm
why I
always
put the
sad.
hood on. There you go.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, man. Well, Louis, aside from being the saddest guy, apparently, hope you're doing good.
Yeah, I'm all right. You know, living the dream.
It's the only way to live it.
Good.
Well, awesome, man. So we got two guests making their first appearance on Earth 894 for the first time, and we're really, really excited. If you didn't catch that, I don't know, the first several times I've said it already. Very excited because they have one of the most unique podcasts out there that, personally, I'm a big fan of. And we're going to let them talk about it in just a second here. But we definitely want you to check their show out after listening to this episode, because if you like what you're hearing on today's discussion, you are in for a treat because they have so many episodes that do exactly this. Real talk. You know what I mean?
That was a pun. Reels talk.
Exactly. So we have Spencer and Naz from the Different Spectrums podcast. How's it going, guys?
Going great. Going
Good.
great. I know Naz about to say a really stupid answer, but
No, I'm just going to say it's really good.
Right.
Today we launched a really good podcast that my father sent me a message and said, you know, you should probably look at the YouTube and what's this sound? And I went and looked, and a bunch of people looked, and he put a comment, and it turns out I laughed so hard that I farted and the microphone caught it.
That's impressive.
So today has been a fun day.
That is impressive.
he has a really nice microphone. Some would say too nice.
Too nice.
You know, that's an ad for product placement right there. If you want to have something so crystal and clear and really feel engaged and like you're actually immersed in the audio experience,
Oh my god.
sometimes you want to be blown away by something, you know, that's caught on mic, right?
If you want a microphone that'll catch your ass noise,
Bet
come
your ass
get
it's
this
gonna be good.
microphone.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh man,
So
that's great.
today's a good day.
Yes. Great.
Well, glad to hear it. Glad to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad to be here.
Awesome. So before we kind of dive into one of our little intro segments here and then go into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, can you guys give a little bit of a synopsis of what you guys do with your podcast?
Okay. So me and Spence started the show. It's called Different Spectrums because we are a neurodivergent podcast, and if folks don't know what that means that we're on the autism spectrum. And so some folks are like, oh, no, you're not on the spectrum because you're not like this or like that, or you're so high functioning. So there's a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about what autism is. And so we decided to start the podcast to speak to people through film, through video, because me as a therapist, as a licensed therapist in the state of Minnesota and Indiana, I have a lot of clients that will relate to videos and film. And that's how they figure out their emotions, how to people, social skills, intimacy. And so we take those reels, we take those moments in time, and then I post them on Instagram and we do a podcast on it to talk about these topics. That was the whole goal. That is the gist. Other people tend to enjoy our content that aren't neurodivergent, but that's who and what it's for directed, right? It's all directed for that population. And I mean, some people just enjoy it because no one talks about emotions in superheroes and characters. And so that's what we do. Does that kind of wrap it up? Spence, do you want to say our
our catchphrase in the intro?
I'm not, but I think I think more of the fact is that our show is just us being our authentic selves, and
Yep.
I think that's a really nice thing to have, because we may banter back and forth a lot, but it's fun to see, and then also it's as real as we can get. We always act ourselves on the show, so
Yep.
yeah, I think that's a big draw, being yourself.
Yes.
So
Being yourself. Some would say it's a different spectrum.
Different spectrums for different spectrums.
Yep.
Oh, you hit me with the symbol, you
See.
bastard.
He even has a soundboard. Awesome.
Well, it was supposed to be for his actually, but then you beat me to the punchline.
This is
All just
perfect.
merged together.
Well, awesome, guys. Thank you. So definitely go check out the show notes where we'll have some links to their socials and their podcast feed and everything. So you should go check them out. All righty. So it's pretty cold here. Louie and I are based out of the Midwest in good old Chicago. No one says it like that, let's be honest. But it was snowing today at the time of recording everything. So we need to warm up a little bit. So this is one of our favorite segments where we like to just kind of, break the ice a little bit off that windshield of the car, defrost a little bit. Sometimes you find a secret soldier serum injected superpowered being like Steve Rogers when you get rid of that ice, and then bam, Avengers. Anyways, this is our long-winded way of saying,
but okay.
wow.
God.
Oh, that's cool. This is our long way of saying it's time for
MCU for you.
Oh, that's right. Vocal credit to our wonderful co-host here, Louie, who has pipes of a sweet, sweet God who can sing MCU for you with great, glorious purpose. So, Louie, I'm going to turn things over to you like I always do. What's been MCU for you?
So the last couple days I've been called into my other job, and basically I've just been babysitting the front desk while they have like recitals and stuff for Christmas. And so in doing that, I was really bored. So I brought my laptop to work and I started a list of characters from Phase 4 to get ready for the Multiverse of March Madness tournament coming up here in March.
There we go.
So I think I'm going to do a bigger tournament than last year. I don't know yet because there's so many characters. I just did the Eternals today and there's 10 Eternals. What a shitty movie to have 10 main characters.
Nas loves the Eternals.
Oh, no. Okay, in all fairness, though, Louis' version of shitty is still like, what, maybe a 6 out of 10?
Okay.
Oh,
No, that's way lower. We don't know
sure.
That's pretty low.
that. Yeah.
I mean, any movie where Richard Madden pulls his cock out is good for me, I guess.
I love a good
Um,
comic book character.
yeah, just that movie alone had 10 Eternals plus Crow. If you knew the bad guy's name, kudos to you. Crow, Eros, Pip the Troll, fucking Dane Whitman, fucking Blade's voice.
That was the only part I liked, was Blade's voice at the end. That was it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That was it.
Yeah.
You guys are just fucking haters. There's finally fat dudes
Here we
that
go.
are superheroes, and then
He
we don't
died.
pay them any respect,
He
and then they
died.
die tragically. But whatever. It's finally you're fat shaming. I get it. You want them to be big and muscular jaws, good imprints on their jocks. I get it.
Obviously, we don't with Henry Cavill leaving Superman. So just saying.
That's a different
Are you
universe.
talking about Gilgamesh being the fat guy?
Yeah, he's a fat guy. I like Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh is just Wong. He's the same guy.
Oh my god.
Wong is still alive, so we're good.
One fat guy.
He was the best
Yeah.
hero.
That's it. Gilgamesh was the best Eternal, and they killed him off immediately.
That's how it
So,
goes. We can't have any good brown people that are chubby. We can't. We just gotta kill them. I get it.
We still have Wong.
Is it worse that they like you knew it was coming? Like I knew it was coming. I was like, they're gonna kill him. He's too nice.
I did not see that coming.
I did. He was way too nice. He was like, I'm gonna protect you no matter what. I was like, he's dead. He's gonna die.
I was so jazzed for that movie, and then I didn't expect them to just start killing people off immediately.
Yeah.
How the hell are you gonna be like, here's the first time you see these people, all of them die? What the fuck is that?
It's like Game of Thrones, man.
I don't think Ajax made it 10 minutes into the damn movie. Also, I bought this board for pins, and it's very empty, except for those two
Nice.
of Spider-Man 2099 and M'Baku. My 3-year-old son calls him and then Ukakaku. So he'll just come up with any other noises after and then I have to correct him.
I am 100% ripping that into a new sound effect.
Baku.
Well, that's all great, man. Congratulations on the board, and thank you for getting ready for the March, or the Multiverse of March Madness. And if those of you who don't know what that is, Louis and I launched that last year.
This year.
So we thought it'd be fun to do a March Madness style tournament of the heroes versus villains on each side of a bracket, all 64. And then we had it battle down to one hero wins, one villain wins, and then have them in the very finals against each other. It was awesome. It was fun. Louis is a mastermind at seeding fictional characters. So we're getting ready for season 2.
I would
it's gonna be good.
Just make little TikToks.
I got Gilgamesh.
Yeah. If he makes the bracket. Let's be real here. The One Punch Man isn't gonna do
Fuck you guys.
One Punch Man.
What was I saying? I made little TikToks of each one where I'd be like, this guy or this guy, vote here. And then everybody on TikTok was allowed to vote. And then, the next day or whatever, you do the next round and so on and so forth. And who do you guys think won the whole tournament?
Dr. Doom.
No, it's MCU characters.
Oh. Ooh. I want to say Thanos. I would
close.
say Thanos.
Thanos won the villains, but he lost the final.
I
We
go
almost had a big
Spider-Man.
upset.
Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Spider-Man had the biggest victory in the tournament where he beat Shuri I think it was 4,000 votes to 400 votes or something. And it was the best because I hate Shuri so much. And I loved watching Spider-Man shit all over her face. I loved it.
We still get people voting in that on TikTok randomly. We'll get notifications of people voting in it.
However, the winner was Doctor Strange.
That's fair. That's fair.
That makes sense.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, we thought Wanda was going to take it, but people voted him.
She might this year.
Well, is she going to be a villain?
She is going to be a villain.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert,
Reminds me of my
probably a number 1 seed villain. That's sad. She reminds you of your mom?
Yeah, that's a whole thing. We can't get into that. I can't get into that. That's a whole thing.
Different
We'll
story.
link to that
different day.
episode if you guys done it.
Can't bring him anywhere. Immediately talks about his mom, no matter what.
Well, let's run over to you guys. Spencer, what has been MCU for you?
For me, I know the No Way Home Funko Pops are getting released, so I'm actually getting the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man Funko Pop. I already pre-ordered it. Yeah, it's coming. It's gonna get here.
Is that the Hot Topic exclusive one?
I think so. I think I also got it at GameStop. I think they also have it there.
Nice.
Too. Yeah.
We can relate to that. I got the 3-pack pre-ordered. I got 2 of them because we're gonna give one as a giveaway in January if that's when it comes up. And then Louis here, he got the Mecha.
I got the 8-pack from Walmart.
All right.
And then I also pre-ordered the Green Goblin in his Green Goblin suit.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You gotta love Funko Pop because they literally take any character and they're like, you know what? We're gonna make a Funko of it. See, look at that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What's your address?
42
It's a different life.
Wallaby Way, Sydney.
Okay.
Different. Oh God, here we
It's a
go.
different life. So calm down, Nas. You're you're a professional counselor now. You do not rob people anymore.
Hey man, let me have those Funko Pops.
Hi, Funkos.
He's going to be getting a doctorate.
Yeah.
I almost had someone give me the eyes of "I will kill you" for this pop figure in a Target one
I believe
time
it.
years ago. Yeah, for Qui-Gon Jinn, who's my favorite character, and I've told the
Ooh.
story probably the last 5 episodes. It just always comes up. I have his lightsaber tattooed on my body, so
Okay.
I like him. But this other guy, I'm not going to die over a $12 piece of plastic. I still got him,
No.
but I didn't get him through Target because I
Okay.
value my life.
That's a fair
Good.
point.
Yeah. You got to make smart decisions these days, man. That's a
Yeah.
different mental health topic that we talked about a couple of weeks ago in the pod, man. It's just too many. Sorry to get deep, but there's too many shootings, too many things going on, man. It's not. Take it.
I love
Go
it
ahead,
too.
have it.
Awesome. Anything else going on for you, Spencer? How about you, Nas? Cap it off. What is MCU for you?
Well, today I was doing some Secret Santa shopping, and I had like 2 weeks to do it, and I literally bought it at the 11th hour. So I had a client before this. I'm a therapist, right? So I had a client before this. So I did it literally right before it because I knew I had this after. Then I'm going to wake up and go to work. So in the meantime, I was going to give this to them. This little.
Hey everyone, before we get into the show, please check out our collaborator, Bubs Naturals. They sell a variety of health and wellness products, including collagen peptides, MCT oil powder, coffee, apple cider vinegar gummies, and other amazing products. Go to bubsnaturals.com and use our code DSP20 to get 20% off your entire order. I just ordered their apple cider and vinegar gummies, and I'm excited to try them. If you are looking for a high-quality, all-natural health and wellness product, Bubs Naturals is a great option. The company offers a wide variety of items that are designed to improve overall health and well-being. So go check them out, and remember to use our code DSP20 when you check out. And with that, let's get into the show.
Miles. But I was like, no, I'm going to keep this for myself. And then I bought them something else.
Respect.
Yeah. Usually how all of his gifts go. He's like, no, that's too good for them. I'm gonna get them something
That's way
else.
too good. I did get them your favorite character.
Sherry.
It's a Sherry.
And
Was that Qui-Gon Jinn?
no, well, I got Reva.
Ugh.
Ooh,
Ugh.
nice.
The worst. The worst.
I mean, it's a specific person that I'm buying it for, right? So I'm not gonna get some random white dude for a black woman, right? It's
What the fuck's wrong with being a random white dude?
Yeah.
I've been a random white dude my whole life. Whoa, man.
Let's turn the conversation because
You're outnumbered again.
Oh man, I think that's a perfect way to warm up as we're about to talk about some deep emotional grief in the MCU.
yeah. Jesus.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right, Devin. All right, last random white dude on the panel here. What's been MCU for you?
Oh man, this is great. I forgot what I've been doing. No, okay, so I finally tried to read again another few panels of issue number 12, I think, of Secret Wars original run, and then I fell asleep. Some people read books to fall asleep, right? I read comic books because I just cannot focus on reading and everything. It is hard. It is hard. Good old ADHD, but having a good time doing it still because it is fun. It is fun. And now I know easy way for me to fall asleep when I can't. I just start reading and then bam, I'm out like a light within minutes.
There you go.
Yeah. And then I have tried to keep restarting Hawkeye, given that it's a holiday season, and I said it's going to be an instant rewatch me, and I just throw it on and I fall asleep here and there when I'm just doing stuff. But one of these days, I'm going to finally actually watch it legitimately and not just kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to play on my phone, play Marvel Snap.
You're a sleepy guy.
Apparently, man.
If I'm having trouble sleeping, I throw on the Doctor Strange episode of What If, and I will fall asleep immediately every time.
Probably one of the biggest episodes of grief in all of Phase 4. Let me tell you.
Right.
Christine.
Oh man. Yeah, let's dive into this. So, like we said at the top of the episode, this whole episode we're really trying to focus in on all the grief of Phase 4. Now, this has kind of been a big staple for the MCU because usually when you see your heroes, right, you want to see them win. At the end of the day, it's always good conquers evil, the classic tale. That's what we see in Star Wars, we see in Marvel, we see, and even in DC sometimes. But the premise is you want to see, you know, the good guys on top and have hope at the end. Sometimes that can be a little gray, and there's a lot of areas to kind of explore that area. And what does it mean to actually lose but still win, and win but what is the loss? You know, at what cost, right? Just like Thanos gets asked by little Gamora in that little area after the Soul Stone and everything, and cost him everything. So sometimes that happens, you know.
Yeah, it's fine. Sacrifices need to be made for the greater good.
Exactly.
He really loves Thanos too. It's just awkward because when you're a therapist, you're not like, you know what, complete balance. Like,
oh man, but yeah. So basically, like I said, the Marvel's production and development lead, Richie Palmer, he's gone on record as describing Phase 4 as a reaction to the trauma of Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, which pretty much, with Far From Home afterwards, is what capped off Phase 3. And then we had, you know, COVID, which really swapped things around, and even our stories, like the stories you've heard about, how it drastically altered the storyline of the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, and, you know, release dates and yada yada. We've been there, we experienced it, we know it. But kind of want to kick things off with starting with that. So we end Endgame with this crazy stuff. Even Far From Home, we see, you know, Peter finally gets the girl and everything, but then he's swinging through, and then guess what? Mysterio is just going to shit all over his day and his life and make us wait like, what, 2.5, almost 3 years to finally get the answer of what happens next when he reveals his identity. So there's a lot of heavy stuff that happens, and that kind of kicked off with WandaVision 2 and all that. So kind of want to start off here. Grief affecting the characters. Now, we talked a little bit about this online, right? When you have all this stuff that just culminates, and, you know, being a hero is sometimes you take in all this stuff so people don't have to do it, the greater good for society and yada yada. But it has a big effect on our heroes and our characters, and we've seen it throughout a lot of this stuff in Phase 4. So kind of open up the floor here a little bit and talk about that, because I think it sometimes gets lost in the weed when we have, or the weeds rather, when we have these big action sequences and stuff like that. Some characters probably could really benefit from that, medicinally, of course. But, you know, I'm trying to keep those ratings on that, like, what, 13 viewer scope and everything. I don't know. I'm not Kevin Feige. Maybe kick it off with you, Nas, because I think you might have a good way to kind of help us start this conversation. Grief and the characters. What kind of comes to mind with how you perceive this and what you've observed so far in Phase 4?
Okay. Forgive me every once in a while, because I know I like to look away, and I like go into my own zone because I like to visualize everything in my mind. Hence our show, Different Spectrums, which is everything's about visuals and how they manifest or represent mental health. Every character has their own version, has their own emotions, has their own things, has their own system, their own world that they live in. One would say their own universe, whatever, blah. So all of them feel grief or depression, PTSD differently, and they express it differently. I think that's what's cool about the characters here, is you have some of them that are quiet and reserved, and they just go about their thing, and they're going to be good soldiers. You have some that are like going to create entire worlds of their partner, and now they're metaphysical children. You have some people that have PTSD and flashbacks. You have some people that go on murder sprees, which is probably the funnest choice. I would also say the most American choice. I'm sorry for all the people, but I'm just, American society is kind of sketchy.
Hashtag random white dudes. Let's go.
Well, if we're being statistically honest.
Oh, you hit me with the crickets?
Or was it you, Louis?
So I think it's the expression of grief through every individual character is the most significant part, and how it's not just super bland, it's actually well thought out. I would assume they had some creative input by other therapeutic folks to figure out, like, how should we manipulate this character and how they express it. We even talked about in Shang-Chi, it's a different type of grief that's not related to Endgame. There's multiple assets of grief that are seen throughout the show. Even within some of the later series, which a lot of folks hated, but it's fine, She-Hulk and Mrs. Marvel, there's a different type of grief that's going on there with self-identity, exploration, giving up the old and finding the new. still there's grief and depression, anxiety in those characters. So it's not all about Endgame. It's expressed through every character.
Well said. I like that. I especially like what you said about like how the shows, even you don't really think about it, right? Like it's not on the surface, but it is there. She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, especially. So I like that it's still, possible to weave this thread through it all. How about you, Lou? What do you think so far about all this grief and the characters and everything?
You just put me right on the spot. I'm over here staring at the painting of Nas above his head.
It is a nice painting, I must say.
Looks
It
just
is.
like you.
I know.
Anyway,
That's why I bought it. It's not a bird.
the grief attaching itself to the Phase 4. Nas pretty much said it best. You get the characters that should be sad with Thanos, being sad about Thanos. Wanda comes to mind, her crying in WandaVision. Thor being all sad. Everybody hates that movie except for me. And
I enjoyed it.
no, see? He was sad, there was grief through there with the passing of Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, and so on. Gore with his with the passing of his daughter, which you mentioned the murder spree. Everyone I talked to said there wasn't enough murder in that movie, which I didn't know was a problem with movies. He didn't kill enough gods. Sorry. Whatever.
Butcher enough gods.
What's the difference? He's not Gore the God Killer. But then you got characters like Stephen with a V with Moon Knight. And that was grief. He didn't even know who Thanos was. I mean, he did, but it didn't affect him the same way it affected the people who were there. And that was probably one of the saddest things throughout the entire Phase 4. Just watching his story and how he grew up, and now he's got 3 personalities and all that good stuff.
I think that was episode 7 where they showed it. It was towards the end, but that was a terrible, terrible episode to watch for a lot of people with abuse issues or trauma with the loved one dying. That's a trigger warning on Moon Knight when they reveal what's going on.
Yeah, that had to be quite interesting for you to watch as a therapist. Do you watch these things as a therapist or as a fan, and then go back and watch them again as a therapist? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, complete sense. So I'm watching it as a fan, but in my mind, I'm always connecting to things emotionally. I'm not really watching ooh, that's a good scene. That does happen in that moment, though. I'm just fully watching it. In that moment, that was, as I joked about earlier, that was kind of triggering for some stuff. That was not a fun episode for me to watch. A lot of folks of color think that type of punishment or abuse is appropriate because we think that will protect our children. That's been passed down from generations and generations and generations. And it's a terrible tool. But those beatings and those dissociating, very common for a lot of people to dissociate. He developed a disorder from it. So it's dissociative identity disorder. That's what's called. It used to be called multiple personality disorders, dissociative identity disorder now. I've only had a few clients with that. The average is 16 personalities within one individual. So we only see 3. So technically there could be more in him.
Wow.
If the comic was going to be, or if the strip was going to be accurate, it would be closer to 16. Terrible reality for a lot of people. I'm glad that you brought that up. I actually have that written down in the Google Doc. I just forgot about it.
I do my best. And then on the other hand, through watching stuff like the Eternals and What If, I'm sure a lot of fans felt a lot of grief for having to sit through that to get through the next thing. Because I did. I was like, oh, this is the worst part of my day.
That was me in the Party Thor episode of What If. I still think that was just so silly. I think it was so stupid.
So that's what I have to say about that.
Awesome. How about you, Spencer? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just some other shows that we kind of haven't touched on, like Loki. I think, first of all, Loki's just grown, and Tom Hiddleston's grown into such a popular character within the MCU. and then his character, he's losing his whole timeline. He doesn't know where where he belongs really. And then he meets, a variant that he actually falls in love with, and then he loses her. I know, as soon as Kang comes into the fold. So we lose that, and then also you could say with Falcon and Winter Soldier, you could say that Falcon lost Captain America, his best friend, and then now he has to find his identity as a Black Captain America, which is its own struggles, right? Like, and then you kind of see that. Although I think not a lot of people really like the series, I think that series has some really good moments. Not really in the villain part, but mostly on I like the character development of Bucky, and then also we see as the new Captain America. So I think Phase 4 has tons of grief, and then obviously we have Black Panther, which was just filled with grief. Had a lot of beautiful moments, in my opinion, especially paying respect to Chadwick Boseman, and then hopefully at some point, bringing a new Black Panther into the future. So
no spoilers.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
But at least for Black Panther, for some context, yeah, right. So one of the most grief-heavy pieces, installments in Phase 4, unfortunately, Nas has not seen. So we have to dance around that subject a little bit. But actually, while we're here, let me just get this out of the way so no one gives us a bunch of 1-star reviews in Apple Podcasts, because we didn't play the thing. So outside of Black Panther, we might do some spoilers. So this is your warning beyond this point.
Spoilers here.
Is that a spoiler?
I think I should
Just give us a spoiler?
You kind of did. Cut
Spoiler alert.
that part out.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, now you know. Now you know. Sorry, Marvel. Whoops. That's out.
Yeah. So Nas has not seen that movie, which is, oh man,
I know.
it's
What an
so
asshole.
bad.
I try. I've tried. I get busy.
Say it every day. Wake up.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I know it means I
This
love
picture in
you.
my head.
It's fine. That's how
Hey,
men
Alexa,
express,
send a morning
express love.
text.
Fuck you, Nas.
Yeah. Auto love you. Auto correct. I love you, big bald man. That's what he means.
There you go.
R.I.P. Gilgamesh.
But yeah, so no hate, no, totally get it, totally understand. You're a busy man, you're helping a lot of good people every day, so that's awesome. Respect it. So hopefully you get to see it. Well,
Another example of the grief that I thought about today when I was doing my research for my list, a name popped up that I hadn't thought about since the show came out, and it's from Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's when my main man, John Walker, is so upset after Battlestar. You guys remember Battlestar? After Battlestar dies, and then he just goes absolutely apeshit on a guy with a shield. And some people handle grief differently, and he just tried to decapitate a dude with a shield. So that happened.
I mean, with that, you could tell he was losing it, because he had such a high bar to fill with Captain America. And then he was trying to be the new Captain America. And you could see like his beard was growing in. He wasn't shaving anymore. He was and he looked disheveled every time. So after he lost him, he was like, that's when he really lost it. Yeah. I will say, that was a really good scene, because I didn't think they were going to take it that far. I honestly didn't.
Forgive me, I've forgotten some of the character build up for the villain. Wasn't it because there was a bunch of stuff going on with their people and like their culture that was being like pushed out and moved? Something was going on with that, right?
yeah, it had a lot to do with these. I forget the organization specifically in charge of like the relocation of everyone, but it's basically like what happens to people who were snapped versus weren't snapped and have to like be forced from their homes and all that, and basically become refugees. And where do you go? And no one wants to help them and things like that. So yeah, that started the Flag Smashers as the antagonist. We got
Correct.
Carly Morgenthau, and everything. Yeah.
And so that's going to be a grief type of issue as well, because you've lost some of your folks, but then it's also grief of these locations. You keep having to relocate. And so your life is completely distraught because there's no foundation where you can set in. So it's just anxiety and terror. So it's just someone building up all these emotions. And then what do? You're trying to find a way to control for it. Thus you lash out and you try to take control, which I try to get my clients to do. Again, it's part of grief. Grief can manifest into a lot of other things, and you can become very nasty. Most humans don't become very nasty with grief. But the movies, they like to build it up where you become, a villain. In actuality, you don't become that villainous. You're usually depressed as shit and you can't leave your house, if we're being honest.
So that brings up a good question too. So one of the favorite things I liked, and I think fans, were really receptive to this too. So a couple instances where we had in Black Widow, one of the episodes in Wandavision, I want to say there was another series, I can't remember, but we got to actually see what happens when people return from the second snap. So Wandavision, we see Rambeau in the hospital trying to find her mother. She's been dead for how many years? But all these people are coming back. We see Yelena coming back in the one friend's mansion or home or whatever of a former Black Widow, freaking out. She's like, "Where's my sister?" Awkward. Yeah, and I think there's a couple other scenes maybe.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Everybody was like appearing on the marching band floor.
Right. From the blip. So it was cool to see that, because what do? Like, can you imagine literally losing half the population across the known universe, and then all of a sudden everyone just comes back? I mean, there's some stuff you probably don't want to see and they don't want to touch. Like, what happens if you're in a plane? You got snapped. I don't want to picture it, but probably not a good outcome. But
that's why I don't get on planes.
There you go. So my question is,
I'm sure that's the reason. FBI watch list.
It's not a crippling fear. It's just because I don't want to get blipped.
The question really is, do you guys feel like the MCU has done a decent job of that kind of return to life? Or do you think it kind of just got glossed over? Because, there's got to be a lot of stuff. Falcon and the Winter Soldier probably did the most addressing of it. But, I mean, like Hawkeye, you see people are still happy. People are doing stuff in New York. We see other things going on. She-Hulk seems like never knew people were blipped. It's a mix, right? So what's kind of the general consensus that you guys might think?
Well, I do have to say, they opened a fucking Infinity Cones restaurant. They're already making jokes about it, dog. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
we're over this.
Yeah. All right, you guys came back. All right, get over it already.
But Thanos was
Thor?
right. Bugs?
Yeah.
Thor.
Yeah, that was in Thor. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that think Thanos was right, but that's a different story for a different day.
That's a different type of something.
Spence, what do you think about the question here?
Honestly, I think that it's tough because you have to mix in real life with the actual MCU. And I think people were kind of, mixing in not only the snap, but with, everything that happened with like the lockdown and things like that. So I think it kind of speaks true to how in real life we're kind of like, yeah, remember that time when we were in our house for like months and months? Well, kind of over that now because I get to go to the mall. So, I feel like we, especially now, we kind of get over things a lot easier. Maybe not, maybe on like more of like a surface level, we get over things. Obviously you can still see a lot of people's attitudes kind of probably have changed since being on lockdown to this day, especially with like anxiety and things like that. I think we talked about in one of our latest podcasts about how people are still having the effects of the lockdown because they've never really been isolated like that before. And so now you see not only in the MCU of people kind of adjusting quickly, but we see it in our characters that we're really focused on that they were really affected too. So yeah, and I think they said if Chadwick would have been alive today, that they would have been tackling more about the blip and how he was dealing with the loss in that. So
yeah, that's a good point.
The movies and film, they're to escape reality, and so it's about keeping you excited in it, and going back into some of this blip stuff might not have been as fun or satiating as what people would want. I feel like you could make a different series on that to spend time when you have a 2 hours and 30 minutes to do a movie. It's really not appropriate, to get it in there. I assume they would be more series based. I think COVID messed a lot of that up as well. Maybe they didn't want to focus on that type of stuff because of the lockdown and quarantine. And then you lost so much and everyone was already going through so much grief. Then to tie in more of that, maybe let's do some more escapism and have some more fun with the characters. I feel like that could be two pretty big things in it. I feel like it would be really cool to get into it. I feel like you could unleash a whole new subset of characters. I think it would be cool if there was like a multiverse effect and like some random ass characters were in there now because of the blip. Like, I'm just saying, throwing a couple squids or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Couple squids.
Maybe you bring back Gilgamesh somehow.
He's back. Everyone,
yes.
Look, he did it. The one character we have for 5 minutes, he's back.
And he brought pie.
Yeah.
See?
And look, he's still protecting Angelina Jolie. Odd.
This is the most anybody has ever talked about Gilgamesh ever.
He's going to be the only one talking about him. No joke.
Whatever.
No, I respect it.
I might have cried extremely hard when he died. Might have.
I can't remember if I teared up at that moment, but I was bummed. I was like, nah, come on, don't kill him.
Oh, I was
want him to
devastated.
stay.
I had to watch in parts because I'm an old man, right? So I can only watch movies after I put my kids to sleep. And then we watch the movie from like 8:30 to 10, and then it's like bedtime. And then you come back and watch the rest of the movie. So I only watched the first half of the movie, and it was either Devin or a different friend of mine said, "Oh, how do you like it?" And I was like, "Oh man, I'm it's kind of slow, but I think it's going to really pick up. I think my favorite Eternal is Gilgamesh. He's pretty cool." And he goes, "Okay." And I was like, what does that mean, man? And then I think like 30 seconds into the second half of the movie, he's just One Punch Man is no longer there. Ah, fuck.
Oh, it is what it is. Any character where they play on people's emotions, so they give you these really sweet individuals that you can grow to love and very joyful, very protective. They give you these type of characters, and then they like killing them off because they know that's going to hurt you even more. They take the emotions in these shows and they manipulate you with them, which is fine. It is what it is. It is what it is.
That's a good question too. So, I mean, I'm just kind of curious, maybe just go around the room. Has there been a character death in phase 4? And if not, I'd open up to the rest of the MCU. But was there a death in this phase that really, really hit you?
So the obvious answer here is going to be Aunt May.
Yep.
But the one that really got me wasn't actually a death, but I really genuinely thought it was. Same movie, end of the movie, where Peter 2 stops Peter 1 from killing Norman with the glider, and then Norman just fucking stabs him in the back, and I was like, and everybody thought that he was gonna die. If you said no, I knew he wasn't going to die. You're a fucking liar, is what you are. And that was hard for me to watch. And then he ended up being okay, so it wasn't really a death, but I feel like it should still count.
Honestly, that was tough. That was so tough. Because I was like, they're killing my favorite Spider-Man. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just tear my childhood dreams apart. Sorry.
It's a bold move, man. It would have been bold. Yeah.
Honestly, I think if fans didn't really like him that much, they would have killed him. They would have killed him. And I think they're saving him up for later movies too. So
Secret Wars.
They didn't want to just end it there. So I'm glad they kept Toby alive.
Louis hit it on the head. I mean, the first person I thought of, and I feel like has really hit me the most, given like how big of a Spider-Man fan I am, was getting the Uncle Ben, like the reverse Uncle Ben moment with Aunt May, which I thought was very, very powerful. Even though I knew it was going to happen, I didn't want it to. So part of the acceptance of it was really, letting go and realizing this is critical. And, the Peter Parker just foundation. I mean, we got reverse trilogy of telling his origin story, which is incredible. It really hit me. But I will say, and I'm not going to spoil Black Panther, but that movie was probably my biggest surprise for me because I've only seen it once, but I was very obsessed with it after viewing it. I really love all the tones. I love a lot of the story choices. I love a lot of things that happen. Soundtrack was phenomenal. But there's deaths, and some of them really kind of hit me, and I thought it was very cool. But I mean, that movie in general good. I don't want to. Oh man, I want to talk about it, but I also don't want to ruin anyone's experience because it's something you don't want ruined.
I promise you, I'm going to finally watch it this weekend. I don't have any papers to do. My clients the school's done at Purdue University. Like, I'm going to watch it. I promise.
Do you guys smell smoke? I think his pants are on fire.
No, I just smell bullshit.
Yeah, well, I'm going to watch it. Jesus Christ, you bunch of ninnies.
There was a almost death. There was a thing that I thought was going to be a death in that movie too. Without saying, you guys know who I'm talking about. Let's just say that person got hit really hard, and I was like, no. He ended up being okay too, that person ended up being okay too. Not saying it was a he. Anywho,
yeah. There you go.
You watch
his vision. You
watch the movie. There's 90 women and one guy, so it's going to be pretty obvious who I'm talking about.
I can't really think, man. There were so many good moments in it, grief wise. I would say the most traumatic one is not when someone died, is when your boy Louis talked about. I almost called it Split. Moon Knight. So when they go back and do the flashback, and you see the devastation of him. Oh, technically this is grief. Him losing his brother, taking on the blame, mom blaming him, mom abusing him constantly. So he not only lost his brother, he lost his mother, and then he loses his father as well because he leaves home. It's just nothing but loss. That is pretty intense, pretty real. I've worked with a lot of clients that go through a lot of different traumas. When it comes to abuse, I got a lot of kids that are LGBTQ that, their parents cut them off, and so that's grief. I've got clients that I'm working with that are going through cancer. Their families going through cancer, right? Their loved one. Grief is everywhere. And so this is why a lot of shows don't really like to tap into that, because it's an escapism watching these shows. For Phase 4 to hit the emotions every single freaking show is intense. I feel like some of these shows, you got to be in the right mindset. I also feel like I've been so busy. I'm making an excuse here, but it's a valid excuse. I want to watch the show Black Panther, and I want to be able to watch it. I don't want to just squeeze it in and be messing around. I always do that. I don't like to start new things unless I'm in the mind space to start a new thing. So there's a ton of grief. I would say Moon Knight, that reveal was probably the toughest. I would say my boy Gilgamesh dying. Shout out to Gilg.
You cried a lot.
We're going to put a Gilg count up in this episode. Ding every time we hear Gilgamesh.
Yep, do it. Every time I say Gilgamesh, we got to take a shot.
Good thing me and Louie do not drink.
Oh, no.
Okay, there you go.
We're just going to have to really use the bathroom halfway through.
Okay. I think just because he was so full of joy and protectiveness, obviously is a big brown dude. I'm Mexican and Lebanese, not Asian. My father's disabled, and I am his caretaker. And so there's just a lot of vibes that I relate to him. So that was a tough one for me as well, just because I relate to that character. And watching someone deteriorate is not fun. I wish that on no one.
Hey, thanks for sharing that, though. I can also relate to that, too. My dad, he was pretty up there in age. Took care of him when I was very young, and he passed when I was a freshman in college at age 77. So I can relate. Caretaker, it's not easy. So respect the work they guys do, but it's appreciated.
Yep,
yeah,
that's awesome, brother. Glad you shared that.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you. But I will say, outside of this, because I feel like I kind of cheated with saying Aunt May. Phase 3, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Yondu, that death. One of the best fucking lines, saying, he may have been your father's son, but he ain't your daddy. Yep. Oh my God.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
I thought you were about to say Mary Poppins, y'all.
That one too.
I've actually
Equally
said
as
that.
heavy.
I've said that though. I'm like, man, so this person, this is your bio dad, but he, that ain't really who raised. They ain't your father, right? It's this person, stepdad, or it's your uncle that's the caretaker, whatever it is. I've used that line before. I always mess it up, but I've used it.
That's what she said.
Fair enough. Yeah. Multiple times.
Kind of similar vein to like the characters themselves, the deaths themselves, but also sometimes the quotes too. I mean, there's one in Wakanda Forever I won't say, but I love the quote. It really like made me, pause for a moment, even in theaters hearing it, and I love it so much. I'm curious if you'll pick up on it when you see it. Well, you'll have to let us know when you see it, and I'll share with you what it is. But yeah, it was a very well said quote in a much needed time. For the character that is.
I know.
Yeah,
I know exactly what quote you're talking about.
Yeah, I brought it up on our Wakanda Forever spoiler review too. So if you all are wondering what I'm talking about, go check it out retroactively. But even one of the biggest quotes too was, in one of the biggest grief centric series, WandaVision, when we get that beautiful line out of nowhere that people are like, "Whoa, hold on, pause, rewind." Did I hear that right? When Vision is comforting Wanda and he says, like, what is love if not grief persevering, but not, something to that, for like paraphrasing here, guys. But that alone is like, oh man. I mean, so I'm kind of curious now, did that hit you at all a little differently? Or like, how did you perceive that given your profession, everything, when you heard that quote? Anything different?
I've I forget some of these things, right? Because it's been some time now. And I've only seen it once. So there's this kind of sketchy humor that had a TV show. I'm not going to name the person, but there's a really good scene where he's talking about love, and he's heartbroken because his partner had to go to a different country. And so he fell in love with this person, but then they had to leave. And he's talking to this psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is just a mean asshole. But he goes, "You idiot." And he's like, "Why am I an idiot?" He's like, "You love her, huh?" He's like, "You miss her and you're miserable." He's like, "Yeah, it's terrible." He's like, "That's love." He said, "I haven't had my heart broken in 20 years since my wife died." He said, "Misery is wasted on you." I was like, "Oh, it's interesting." I think the absence of the people that you have and the sadness or the grief or the trauma that living without them is only the direct reciprocal of how much you actually really love them. You don't know how much something means to you until it's gone, which is really sad. And so I think that quote captures it perfectly. That's why I like to tell people, love wildly, love deeply. But a lot of people are scared because if you do love, you will inevitably be hurt. You will be hurt. Either the friendship will go a different way, you might get divorced, people pass. But to love is to be in pain, and you have to accept that. She had some wonderful times with Vision that she never really had, and she recovered a lot from the traumas in her childhood. I don't know if she would give those up. I don't think that she would give those up, knowing that he was going to die and that she was going to maybe never have these children. I don't know if she would give that up. Something to think about, people that are out there struggling with their relationships or different issues and trauma. Me and Spence talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the pod. If you just shut it down and you let your heart die and you hide it with your hobbies and your jobs, you'll never be hurt again. But again, you're never going to have those joys and those really big, great experiences. Your heart will shrink in its coffin. I say this all the time with my clients that are working through relationships, all the time. Good quote. I'm going to have to steal that one and put it on the reel.
There you go. That was good. I got real.
I'll tag you in it.
Please. Thank you for sharing that. That was very insightful too. Outside from even the Marvel perspective too. I mean, ultimately, like this discussion, we're talking about fictional heroes and everything, but to a lot of us, a lot of fans, I mean, they base their morality off of what these characters say because there is like maybe agenda isn't the word, like the correct term or best word here, but there is a motive behind. Why do we make these characters do the things they do or say the things they do? We want to elicit a reaction. We want you to think about it, right? Not always just punch, win. Say that for older stuff, but, we can actually approach some real stuff.
Say that for Michael Bay.
Yeah, right?
That's all Michael Bay does. I love Michael Bay, but don't get me wrong.
I'm pretty sure the guy that was punch, win was Gilgamesh.
Well, that was a punch, win, lose.
He lost in 5 minutes.
Oh man,
I'm just saying he died. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I get it.
He literally was a practice dummy for the villain.
Ooh.
This is why people like me like Thanos, because right now I'm just like,
Yeah.
I wonder if y'all would be part of the ones that died.
I wonder about that. What if my odds of being snatched? But I got to say,
I can only hope.
Valid facts.
I'm sorry, but he got Gilgameshed up.
Hey, you said Gilgamesh. I think that counts.
Yep.
Yep. I turned my camera off too. Yep.
Oh, man.
So I think it's weird that we haven't talked about Black Widow at all, considering that was a movie all about a dead person. It was a prequel to before she had died. And it was, her story, and there was a lot of sad things in there. We were talking about the ways characters come with their grief, and I thought it was one of the better handled ways anyway was Yelena getting out at the end of the movie with her dog. So after Natasha had died, she went and got her dog that she was talking about, and for the life of me I can't remember that dog's name, but it's
Barbie
better
Jones.
than like going on a god butchering spree. Did you say Barbie Jones? Is that your dog's name?
Barnaby Jones. I don't know what movie that's from.
Hey, this is your co-host Spencer, and I'm bringing you a special message from our collaborator, Silver Dollar Candles. They have great scents to go with great messages, just like Best Dad Ever, True Crime and Chill, and my personal favorite, When This Candle Is Lit, Give Me That. You can also make your own candle and message that fits you. So go use our link in our link tree to get your order placed with Silver Dollar Candles today.
I forgot. I'm such an idiot. It was the smartest idiot I know, just so you know.
I'm sorry.
Smartest one. You have the most hair for a bald guy I've ever seen.
You should see my back.
Oh my God, his back. Ugh.
Don't you dare come on my podcast and threaten me with a good time.
Do it.
That was about it. I had a pun up.
Sorry.
It's okay. I had a pun about
Oh, damn. I stopped him.
No, it's not really even a pun. Earlier in that movie, they were all sitting at the table talking about how their childhood was fake, and then Yelena was talking about how it was real to her, and you guys really fucked me up here, like that was the only family I've ever fucking had, and you're over here talking about how it was fake. And then my guy, the Red Guardian, goes in and sings her a song, and then he gets shot with a bunch of darts.
So her complaining about the traumas that they went through or she went through. So what would that her be expressing?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this pop quiz.
I just had anxiety.
Anxiety, but it's manifested through what she lost. So she's expressing
diarrhea.
Fuck. Grief?
Jesus fucking Christ, Louis.
I knew the answer, but you made me nervous with the way you phrased it, damn it.
Way to go, Louis.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. No, not a piece, just a lot of water.
The whole one.
Jesus. I like force fed that to you. Everyone just like emotions. No.
Emotions.
Emotion, no damage. Yes, it's grief. So let's say the childhood was fake. I've got clients that go through that because the parents are hiding mental health issues, or like the student or client doesn't know that they have something like bipolar schizophrenia or autism. There's a lot of grief that could happen when they finally find out these realities. I would say the biggest time it happens is when they find out that they're adopted. The parents didn't tell them that information. Those type of reveals can, you lied to me. It's all a lie. My childhood's all a lie. The anger comes out first, which most people express because we're comfortable expressing anger. But before you were angry, you were hurt. And right after you were hurt, there was some grieving. Then the anger comes out. I'm not a full believer in like this thing we call anger. It's like a tertiary emotion that comes out, easy to get to. It's not feminized, where grief and sadness is feminized. And thus, if we do it, we feel like shit. We'd rather be angry than feel like crap. For a lot of men, this is our go-to. So we'll blow up, and I'm like, oh, you're super sad, aren't you? You sad boy. Sad boy vibes. No, I'm not sad. I'm like, bro, you're sad as hell. Like, you've been hurt, and you're grieving some stuff. No, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you are. And then they'll just start crying. All right. Sorry to put you on the spot, Louis.
Do you do that? Do you do that in public?
Do what in public?
Do you just yell at people? Do you just go up to shouting men and just go, "You're sad." I'm not sad. You're sad. And then they just start crying. Do you just go to like you said Minnesota. Do you go to the biggest mall ever or whatever the fuck you guys got over there in Minnesota?
He's in
It's not
Indiana,
covered in snow.
so he
It
just goes to the gym and does that to grown men in short shorts.
you just do that to all the goats outside. You're like, you're pretty sad, aren't you, goat?
You sad, ain't you?
I'm not sad. I'm a goat.
I do it in therapy. Obviously, I do it with clients that don't work in therapy. I think it's always fun to tease at the people that seem the strongest and be like, I know you're hiding. I know you're masking, because no one really acts like this.
Is that why it's called masculinity? Because you're masking it?
No. That was actually really good. I'm not even going to hate on that. That was a really good pun.
You could take it. It's all yours.
Okay. My students are going to legit hate me for that, but I will take it. There's some neurodivergent kids that are going to like this.
All right. Well, I think it's a good point where we can kind of talk into, we brought up Black Widow. We brought up some other specific moments. So maybe let's kind of go around the room here and talk about some of the moments that stood out the most in terms of grief and all the other relative themes that we've discussed so far here tonight in Phase 4. So I want to kick it off to, anyone. I'm not going to make it call on someone and then give them anxiety like we were having it just a second ago, trying to figure out the G word, grief. We all knew it. Yeah, what was a moment that really stood out to you? It is. It's like, where's Waldo?
Hang on.
We broke him, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, Nas needs a moment.
Well, I'm supposed to take my blood pressure at 11, my medicine, so I'm getting close.
Well, if you need to step off for a sec, we will continue on the conversation, because don't die on us or don't lose pressure. No pressure.
Put him down. Don't take him. I love him.
No.
Just shh.
Oh, it's fine.
Let's get this fucking guy an amlodipine stat.
Y'all got any raisins?
I'm good.
All right. I'm just going to take this mic that I metaphorically have in this episode. One of the moments that I felt what really stood out to me was actually in Hawkeye, because it's all about being like cheery and holiday spirit and everything, right? But I love seeing the human hero, the one who doesn't have supernatural abilities, not some lab soldier, nothing cosmic, right? Just a guy with really good aim and a good heart, who's a family man who doesn't have a cape, but he wears it around his arm or whatever, like wearing your heart on your sleeve, kind of, you get what I'm saying. But two moments that really stood out.
About?
I don't know, man. I was just kind of rambling as I was getting to my point. But when he's standing there in the spot where they see the little memorial plaque of the battle in New York, right? We saw Avengers 2012. We even saw a little angle of it from Kate Bishop's perspective in the first episode. I thought it was really beautiful seeing this character who's, especially through his actions, tours of everything, but also when he had that big blast in Endgame, he's half deaf. And it also goes back to the comics and like the runs and everything. But he's there trying to actually drown out the noise by taking out his hearing aid and everything, if I recall correctly. But he's in this moment of really just like, he's a hero. He's done so much. He's standing there. All these people are walking by. They don't understand it. Maybe they don't appreciate it. But like, this guy is literally the one who fought to, and something no one has ever seen before. That's heavy. And I love seeing him just trying to like, he's thinking about the people who aren't there anymore, especially Nat and everything. So like that moment really stood out to me. And I just love it because it's very somber. Sometimes you need that like moment of solitude, and sometimes you can feel alone when you have hundreds of people around you, and it's kind of unfamiliar faces and everything. So that moment really stood out to me. Then I have another moment too. But is there anything on that any thoughts or any opinions on that moment at all?
I don't think it's a grief thing, but maybe it's an emotional thing for sure. In Hawkeye, since you brought it up, there's that moment where Maya Lopez crushes his hearing aid, and he gets a phone call from his youngest, Nathaniel, and he's like so upset that he's not home for Christmas, or he can't really talk to his son because he can't hear him or anything. So he's just, and I feel like he was hiding it very well, just, oh, go get your mom. But, and men have feelings too, guys. Right. And Kate had to like tell him what was going on. And he was like getting a little choked up trying to explain to him, what's going on, and he'll be home and have fun and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's really big too if you're a parent. Which when I watch stuff like that, especially Louis, I usually think of you because you have the 2 kids. And I always kind of picture like, what does that mean to you versus me, right? And that's what I think is great. We can find like a different thing to relate in every person. You're gonna say Nuss?
I told you the scene in Hawkeye towards the end when she's like beating him up and he's like, I'm not fighting you. And that's a very emotional, deep scene. That's a wonderful scene. I like that one. That was probably the best moment for me in that series.
Yeah, it's a great scene. And I've said it before, but I really wish at the end, when they go back home to the Hawkeye household, they bring Kate to meet the fam and everything. I really, really was hoping they were going to bring Yelena too, because then she could finally see why her sister sacrificed herself instead of Clint.
Ooh, valid.
And you get to meet his youngest because, in Age of Ultron, oh, look, it's baby Nat, right? Natasha says, turns out it's Nathaniel. But imagine like Yelena meeting the baby that originally was going to potentially be named after her sister. I really wish they had that moment, and maybe in the future they will one day. But yeah, it was a good ending.
They're definitely going to go for that because I just don't think she would have been ready at that point. I think it would kind of been a little forced because then I don't think she was just ready to even get over. Well, she got over the fact a little bit, but I think she needed time to really meet the whole family and things like that. Yeah.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
I would say for me, end of Shang-Chi, especially when the dad's getting his soul sucked out. That was tough because he was finally realizing like all that he missed, and he was trying to get back his wife so that then maybe they could be a family again. But at the end of the day, he messed up his relationship with his son and his daughter. And that was a tough moment. I was tearing up for that moment because that was just the music and then just the flashbacks of him seeing his kids and things like that. And then obviously in the same movie, right at the end when he's about to do like his, I don't even know, like his Kamehameha to the Soul Eater. That was a great moment because he was kind of using the loss of his father and then also just trying to save the world from being destroyed. And so he used that to defeat the Soul Eater. So I thought that was an amazing moment too, in the same movie. By the way, can't wait for him to come back in Ant-Man, as they allegedly say.
I made a TikTok or reel, whatever. They're both the same about that.
That's gonna be. I think everybody knows Scott Lang is not gonna make it, but I hope he does.
Ooh, spoilers.
I hope he does.
Ooh.
I know. Doesn't look good for him in the trailers. Doesn't look good.
For the record, Louis doesn't watch trailers. He's very brave, and he has the best experiences because then he doesn't have any expectations. Yeah.
Even though they change everything in the trailer from the movie. So
cool. Any other moments that stood out to you guys that we haven't covered? I mean, we talked about Shang-Chi, which I think is a slept-on movie, honestly. Hawkeye, of course, but what else may have been something that stood out to you that you want to break down a little bit?
Making me go through the Rolodex up here. Black Bolt.
Oh, yeah. Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic. Wanda again. You're like, oh, okay. She's gone too. Great. Nice. Glad they killed her.
We did a pod on Werewolf by Night the other day. And so we related that scene where they're locked in the cage and he's like, and because they just got captured. and he's explaining like who he is, and she's like, "Oh, you know, you're great. You're gonna kill me, so I don't really care who you are." He's like, "I got these systems to manage my thing, and I know what to do. Now I'm contained." I feel like a lot of people with mental health issues have all these coping skills and strategies. In there is some grief and some loss, because why am I so different than everyone else? Why is it that everyone else gets to walk around and just be normal, neurotypical? Yet I have to mask, I have to do all these things, I have to manage my ADHD, I gotta take meds, I gotta eat the right things, I gotta take my blood pressure, whatever. It's a lot of stuff that other people don't have to do. And so in there's a lot of anger. Some people it's angry at their God. Some people it's angry at themselves, genetics, right? It depends. It's a representation of grief. And so we express it differently. He, in that scene where he's in the cage, sounds like a client that's been through a lot of good therapy, because he has all these systems and checks and he's well kept with his emotions. I feel like that's a different definition of grief, right? It's in all characters. Losing yourself and your identity is hard. So to become some random dude, now you're a werewolf that's like eating people. That can't be like a fun thing. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I thought about. I just looked through the list of things that I had. That was the thing. The only thing I was going to do was tease Spencer. I'm like, I don't know if there's grief in the Groot series, but maybe I can tie this in here, because I know Spencer did not like the Groot series.
No, I didn't like the fact that you were trying to relate it to mental health. I was like, all right, bro, whatever you say. He's taking a bath. Wow, that's really out there.
I love the bath episode. When he just like sits down.
But for a show, like it's different, right? It's like we're trying to relate to mental health. He's like, look, you got to take care of you. And me and our other co-hosts were just like, whatever, dude. Yeah, you go along with it. We have nothing to say here.
Bathing is important for mental health.
Here we go. See,
take a bath.
Here we go. Well, your favorite character died, Nas.
Both of them.
Oh,
it's like, yeah, you tried to like relate it in a weird way in this show, but other way, fuck you, your character's dead. It's like,
he's gone forever. He's never coming back. They're never bringing Gilgamesh back.
That's fine. For those of you that have seen the TV series Hannibal, where Hannibal is the psychiatrist and actually teaches his clients to like murder people, be careful, Spencer.
Yeah, whatever. I know they'll turn on you at some point.
I think legally I need to just say a disclaimer real quick.
Yeah. He's not going to murder me.
In Secret Wars, there's gonna be nine Eternals, because even Gilgamesh couldn't come back for Secret Wars.
The writers are just going through it, just like, should we bring back Gilgamesh?
No, we don't, because this one podcast talked to him about 50 times.
Bring back Ajax and Icarus,
and then they kill him again.
Oh my god, Ajax, you're back! Oh my god, not Ajax, Gilgamesh, you're back!
It's just the MCU version of Kenny. Okay.
Oh my god. You were kidding. I don't think anyone's ever talked this much about Gilgamesh from Eternals.
Never.
No one's even talked about Eternals this much.
No.
Jesus.
I'm not gonna lie, Spence. This has actually been a freaking blast.
Yeah,
this has been a blast.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Hey, well, we're sorry. We don't shit on anyone's favorite characters, no matter who it is or how they ended up or whatever. Even if it's Howard the Duck.
So, Nas,
he's still alive.
Yeah, even if only barely. So Nas said that my kids are going to need therapy. So I'm going to spoil this part of Black Panther with the grief when they go up to the moon to rescue Captain America. And he was sad because he was on the moon, and they rescued him because that happened.
Lou, you got any other moments that you think stood out to you at all?
We've talked about a lot of good ones here, between the Black Widow stuff. The Moon Knight stuff was real big with the grief. One thing we haven't really touched on too terribly much. I wasn't in love with the She-Hulk show, but I think it did a good job of just showing a regular ass person that's also a Hulk that was just getting shit on over and over. She got fired, or these guys only wanted to bang her when she was green. She has a cousin named Chet, shit like that. So at the one point near the end of the show, she was like just laying in her bed, just like Nas said earlier, you just get depressed and you don't leave your fucking house. And she was just like, ah, and then somebody was bugging the shit out of her. Oh, she went back to her parents' house. That's what it was. And her mom was bugging the shit out of her. So that's when she went to the retreat to go see fucking Blonsky. Yeah. So that was something that in a show where they didn't really do a lot of grief stuff, it was leading up to this real life ass depression. You know, you don't see people go on depressions and start butchering gods or trying to decapitate a flag smasher with a shield. You don't see that. What you see is when you can't get a date on fucking Tinder and you lose your job and all of a sudden you're in your bed. TV, you don't even turn the damn TV on. You're just numb to the world. That was something that kind of got me, which one of my biggest things with She-Hulk was like, why don't any of these guys want to bang Tatiana Maslany? It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird to me, but alas, that's not why we're here.
I'm not going to comment on that part.
You should.
No. As a counselor, I have to like maintain something there. But
Okay, whatever, motherfucker.
yeah, you know, I'm a real professional here. Everything else I'll talk shit about. Louis, I can't believe Devin didn't give you no hurrah or huzzah. Like that was like the most profound thing that is he said today, and that was like really good. I'm joking, but I'm also being like super serious. If folks want to relate to a character, that is a character that is legitimately showing depression very accurately. And I'm not gonna lie, who doesn't, when shit hits the fan and chaos is coming and we're backed into a corner, as long as we had a healthy relationship with one of our parents, you're usually gonna call your mom or your pops. If they're alive, if you had a healthy relationship, you know, you're gonna go to them. I just appreciate Louis bringing that up because it's hella accurate.
You know, it's something cool too. Like, you know, sometimes we get these, especially in Disney stuff, right? You know, one story, the stories always involve like one parent or both parents dying or something tragic, right? In the family perspective, like evil stepmom or like abusive parents. Like there's always that part of like that kind of goes into, we've seen in the MCU and like superhero genre in general. But one thing that I thought was pretty refreshing, and you just kind of touched on it, Nas, was having like a healthy relationship with one or both parents. We got to see that in She-Hulk. And we also got to see that in Miss Marvel, which I thought was really cool. Like some of my favorite characters were like the supporting, the family, like seeing for once, like, you know, this teenage girl, right? And Miss Marvel becomes a superhero out of nowhere. She's trying to hide it. And eventually when she opens up, her parents are like, yeah, we already knew. Whole family knew. And then her dad is telling her on the rooftop, and it can be a little cheesy depending on how you look at it, but explaining like how
that was an awesome scene on the rooftop.
Yeah, like it was good. And it's great to see like something refreshing, like, hey, you know what? You have a lot of power, responsibility, and this you're changing. Maybe a little metaphor for puberty too at that age too, right? Maybe, I don't know. But it was cool to see you have someone who may not get it, may not be able to relate to it, but they're there to help you through it because they love you no matter what. I mean, still one of the tragic moments, and they talk about this for grief. First episode of Miss Marvel, trying to go to Avengers Con, and she had a whole trouble of trying to like, you know, get their parents to let her go and all that. Whatever, fine. But then like, hey, we'll let you go. Little curfew and stuff like that. And you have to have your dad take you. And then he comes in all painted green like the Hulk, right? And she's like, no. What?
Devastated.
Her dad was so sad. I felt sad.
That
like,
was
trying to relate. Yeah. It's little moments like that I really appreciated.
I'm glad you brought that. That was a good scene. I enjoyed it. That last scene was good. We always want people that love us to gas us up and tell us that we're good, that we're enough. And when we don't hear it for a long period of time, or when people always tell us, the world always tells you, everyone, that we suck. I'm not good enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not smart enough. My podcast isn't getting enough numbers, whatever it is, right? We're ugly. We're too fat. We're not Gilgamesh enough, right? Whatever it is. I think it's just awesome to get affirming. And it's awesome to see a dad of color doing it. There's a lot of stereotypes out there for dads of color. And so I think that was cool to see too.
Good point. And before we transition to one of the last pieces of discussion here too, one moment I did forget, Falcon and Winter Soldier, my favorite part of the whole show was a lot about the addressing like years of history and like trying to like live up to a mantle and all that. But with all the stuff with Isaiah Bradley, that one moment when Sam brings him to the, I think it's the Smithsonian at the very final episode, and he shows him like, hey, and like I pulled some strings, right? He gets to see the statue, the commemoration of like Isaiah Bradley's sacrifice and everything. And like that moment of respect, I forget the actor's name, but when he just does that slow walk and kind of that like stiff chin a little bit and goes in for that hug, but like very stoic, he's fighting back emotions, but goddamn do I feel it every time. Like it gives me goosebumps whenever I watch that scene. And it's so powerful and so good. And like, you know, for a different demographic, that means a lot more than it does to me. You know, I'm saying that just as a white guy. Like I find that very, very powerful. And so like that stuff I love. And it's good to see. And, you know, I think it's appropriate for us to see it too. Cause like at the end of the day, like, yeah, adults love this. It's kind of with the Star Wars of it all. You know, it's meant for kids at the end of the day. It is for that. So like having kids seeing this as they grow up and learning about this, like, you know, themes of racism and yada yada, and like stuff that's kind of hard to understand, but when you see it through like the people you look up to, which are these heroes and actors, it kind of helps it maybe hopefully make our generation a little bit more promising to be better people, a little bit better character, and sometimes being a hero and stuff. So that's what I wanted to point it out before I go into talking about grief, trauma, tragedy. Is it necessary to be a hero, or does it create a villain? Kind of an interesting thing. Maybe not a lot of people talk about. So kind of want to open that up because we definitely saw, even referenced by Miss Scarlet Witch herself in Multiverse of Madness, give a good proposition to Dr. Stephen Strange. So kind of open it up. Naz, I know you had some really good thoughts on this, and you've been kind of having some thoughts stir about this. So I'm kind of curious. What do you think about this kind of concept?
I think some of my favorite villains or antagonists have been through deep traumas. So my favorite person, human, is Magneto. I like his story arcs and how they did it in some of the newer movies, and how he has this world and it's stripped from him. In Auschwitz, tons of grief, tons of terror, tons of horror. Then later on, right, they build it up to where now he's got this life and he's got a family and he's got kids. He's living by himself, doing his own thing. He's not a hero. He's a normal dude working. And then death always follows him. And they shoot and they kill his kid and his partner. And then becomes the Rage, or you just keep losing things. He's always been one of my favorite characters. I feel like that's one of the precedences for antagonists, because they're usually shamed or belittled or bullied. Something goes on where they then put on this suit of anger and hostility and volatility, and they try to take over, control things. Loki, it's the same type of thing too. You could say he's just genetically mischief, but there's a lot of different things that are going on with his dad, family dynamics, being the younger brother. It's a lot of stuff. I think it's a key foundation in a lot of villains. Where if you keep peeling back the layers, you see maybe this possible anti-hero after they heal. It's a vibe. In saying that, I wish that in the MCU, I wish that Venom, me and Spencer have talked about this many times, was more evil, because I wanted him to like kill more people. And he went too nice to being the good guy, even though I love him being a good guy, but it's whatever. Grief is usually at the core foundation. I wanted to see much more of that stuff. But I'm going to hold back now and let y'all chop it up. I think it's a core foundation.
How about you, Spencer? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that I think once all these different characters, they gain powers, that means you lose something. Whether it's going to be loved ones with death, or if it's going to be like your free time overall. Like you see with Peter Parker, he has no life at all. Really. I mean, he tries to, but at the end of the day, he always tries to, he always has to be Spider-Man more than he is Peter Parker. Right. And I just think that no matter if you're a hero or a villain, it always makes your story a lot more, I would say, dramatic once you have that grief, once you have loss. Look at Peter Quill, lost his mom. Then he goes running and he gets captured by aliens, right? So, and then that creates his whole story. You see it with everybody, that you have loss at some point, and then that pushes you to a whole other level. And that's what makes them superheroes, right? Is that they don't just curl up in a ball. They keep on going because they feel like they have to make this person proud, or they have to, make sure that they are honored in some type of way. So I think that, I think grief is necessary in any type of comic book or Marvel character overall.
How about you, Louis?
I feel like nobody's going to watch anything where they're not relatable. You have to be able to relate at some point. And I just feel like a character that is always happy and has never been sad before and is just super duper thing, it wouldn't be interesting to watch. Even Superman, who is like the obviously he's not Marvel, but he's got a whole fucked up backstory where his parents shipped him off to Earth to be raised by farmers or whatever the fuck happened. I don't know. I didn't watch it. And then, he watches his farmer dad die and whatever the hell. So it's necessary in a relatable standpoint. I honestly, you can't name a character that doesn't have some sort of grief or bad thing that's happened to them that people would even care about. I was trying to think about when Nas was talking, I was trying to think about a character who maybe doesn't show a lot of grief, but is still evil. And the one that I came up with off the top of my head was like Obadiah Stane, where his thing wasn't really about sadness and grief. He was more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like jealousy, and he wants the whole thing, and he thinks Tony's going to fuck everything up, and he wants to be the guy from Iron Man 1 when villains were less good,
Wait a minute. Iron Man 1, Obadiah, that's the rich white guy,
It's a
right?
bald bearded dude, yeah.
He's Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave. That guy.
That was actually pretty good.
That was really...
With a box of scraps.
That's a very good Obadiah Stane impression.
Yes. I don't know. We would have to dig in, Louis, though, to what is his backstory and why is grief and money and power so important to him. There has to be some type of hierarchy. Is it just greed? Humans aren't less than 1% of the population. It's actually less than 1%, way less. That is just completely antisocial and they care about no one. That qualifies as a sociopath. So unless he's a sociopath, those greed and things and like that and power, they come from somewhere. Does it come from insecurity because of something in childhood? I don't know. I don't know the character like that. It's just something that I thought of.
That's exactly what I was trying to get behind. He's got motives, but they don't really express them to us.
Correct.
So when you talk about the early Marvel villains, the early MCU villains, you're like, who gives a shit about any of these fucking people? Personally, I love Obadiah Stane, but that's just because he's a white guy on a Segway with a cigar yelling about Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave. So, but I don't love him on like a emotion. Like I don't feel emotionally attached to him by any stretch of the imagination.
No. You don't feel daddy issues from him.
Or, they try to build up other villains like Ivan Vanko with his dad. Who fucking cares? The Iron Man movies are so bad. Anyway, they do all that, but then you get into like the phase 3 stuff and you got like Killmonger and Thanos and Hela and people like that. I guess Dormammu doesn't really have an emotional thing going on.
You don't know his life story, bro.
You don't know his big entity life? You don't know it?
He got big entity life. And I wanted to say a different word, but I didn't want to say it. He got big something energy.
Enemy. Yeah. big dick anemone. But
Anemone.
yeah. Entity, that was the word. You have to have some sort of thing going for you to make, like, people are sad. If you want me to relate to you, be sad. That's about the best, to dumb it down the best that I can. If you want me to feel a wave for you, you got to be a little bit sad or talk about your insecurities or something like that.
You know, I think you bring up a good point about that too, because like as I think about the villains, right? One of the best villains is probably our antagonist, maybe. And I don't know. I'm kind of curious how you guys weigh on this, because we got more of his character in the Falcon Winter Soldier, but Baron Zemo himself, because his whole job was, I don't care about all this stuff. You killed my family. I just want to break up and destroy the Avengers. I want to do what other villains have not been able to. And he did succeed at the end of the day. He did, which is what happened at the beginning of Infinity War with everyone being separated. But like, is he evil? Or is it because the result of it, he just wanted vengeance? He got what he wanted. And then, you know, he was going to off himself. But, you know, T'Challa says one of the best things, like, you know, like, vengeance has consumed them, but it will not consume me anymore. Or whatever he says when Baron is about to, you know, shoot himself. And he stops the bullet, and it's like, fuck, that's badass. But we see more of him being like a little bit on the kind of walking the fine line a little bit. We're working with the good guys, kind of. I don't know. We see him pumping at the club, so you know he could be a fun guy. But he still has this deep, deep hate and resentment, and like an agenda to just kill and destroy and just obliterate anything to do with super soldier serum, whether it's a person or the serum itself or anything that has to do with it. He will destroy it. Is he evil, or like, you know, it's what caused it? So I think he's a very interesting character where you could just keep breaking that onion down layer by layer until we get to the root of, you know, who is Zemo and everything.
Those are the best villains, though, right? Those are the ones that you're kind of like conflicted by. You're like, I got a point, but they're still bad, right? Like we talked about Thanos, obviously. But yeah, with Zemo, you have to think that, yes, he's a bad guy because he's just trying to manipulate everybody into getting what he wants. That's not necessarily a good trait to have, especially when you want to be a hero, right? Or anything like that. But I just think, yes, at the end of the day, I think he's a villain. But yet he's had so much loss. I mean, once you lose your whole family, he's just, what else can I do? Except for have this one goal of making sure that the super serum doesn't get into anybody else.
I would also like to bring up, I'm on record saying that the most evil villain in all of the MCU is Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. There's a whole lot going on with him, I will say, but Nas was saying that less than way less than 1% of people are sociopath. And when he's Norman Osborn or whatever, he's like this guy who cares about Peter, and he cares about, if you've seen the first Spider-Man movies, you wouldn't know that from No Way Home. But he cares about Harry, and he cares about Peter and MJ and all those other fucking people. And when he like gets that green gas and he becomes the Green Goblin, mind goblin these nuts. He doesn't. He's another one where you don't really have like a sense of connection with him through grief or anything else. He's just chaos incarnate, I guess would be a weird fucking nerdy way to say it. He's just there to cause fucking chaos. And I feel like that's not a very relatable character.
Would you say the same for like Dr. Doom and the old Fantastic Four movies?
Did anybody watch those movies?
Because he's just a rich white dude trying to get powers. Like that's literally all he is in the movie. There's no good backstory.
Are we all?
There is a one thing I like about Dr. Doom, which also, before I get into that though, Louis, you brought up with Superman, right? I think one of the most beautiful things about Superman is that he has all this power where he can hear everyone and everything going on in the world. But his flaw is that he can't save everyone. So he hears people dying that he can't save. He hears all that stuff that, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can't shut it off, right? You know, it's, you know, and after a while, I'm sure you kind of get numb to it because you have to. Same with people who had to put down animals, to have to do everything that involves like the sad things in life. That's not everyone's signing up to do, right? So it's kind of what makes him super, because how do you still be super with that? But going to who are we talking about? Was it
Doctor Doom?
Doctor Doom? Yes, it's, you know, part of the one. He's a really cool character, and I'm really curious to see how he's executed, or like actually applied in the MCU, because like one of the coolest things is like he was generally a very handsome guy, and so I think there's one comic run where he got the tiniest little blemish on his face, but to him that meant he was the ugliest, most just putrid, disgusting person on the planet, and he hides behind that mask. And so it's kind of interesting, you know, it's like literally a mask, we hide behind it, but you might think like, oh, you're hideous, you're terrible, you're deformed, everything. But nah, dude, you have just a little pimple, and it's even just left over, you know, pepperoni from your pizza or something that just never left your cheek. It's just kind of interesting. So I think it'd be kind of cool if they almost did something like that in the MCU.
Can't wait for them to actually flesh out him, because he's such a big role,
Yeah.
especially in Secret
a lot of strings to
Wars.
pull.
Correct. Yeah.
Cillian Murphy. That's my vote. Or Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
He's free now.
That'd be cool.
Any final characters before we kind of cap off this discussion on grief in Phase 4?
Gilgamesh? No, I'm just kidding.
Hero or villain?
You should just have like a replay of him dying on your show every time
Oh my God.
you say his name.
If you actually could, I'm begging you all to get that scene, put it on a reel, tag us in it, and then I'll do one of me just crying to it.
Hey guys, we're gonna do a reaction video. First time watching. It's a mystery clip. My friend
Yes.
said I'm gonna love it.
Yep.
Oh man.
Good old Gilgamesh.
I feel had like 5 things to say throughout this, and then I just get my ADHD gets knocked into a different realm. Like, holy shit, that's a really good point. And then I'm like, what was I just gonna say?
Same.
It was when Louis was talking.
How would just we ask a little fun question for you? So, if you had to pick one character who definitely needed therapy the most, that you were to sit down and actually have a session with, who do you think would be your choice?
Well, I think we know the obvious one.
Yeah, who needs therapy? They all fucking need. Everybody needs therapy. Every person needs therapy.
Everyone can benefit from therapy. Thank you, Louis, for saying Louis is my dog today.
That being said, from the MCU, it's Thor. Thor needs therapy the most.
Yeah.
Phase 4, yep.
Oh man, that's a good one.
We actually made a lot of jokes about this on the pod where, like, bro, you didn't need to go lift all them damn weights. Every time dudes get depressed or they get broken up with, they think they need to lift weights. Like, that's going to cure your depression, getting some pecs. All right. That's my rant.
He went from dad bod to god bod.
Yeah, for one, that's not going to happen, but whatever.
One can dream.
I'm not saying with you. I'm just saying with dudes in general.
He's going for the prop.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
it's
it
pretty
is.
cool.
The goats.
Just
It was the goats.
Yeah, that's my vote. The goats need therapy.
Those fucking goats.
Thanks,
He
Tyke.
fell off the boat and died again.
How about you, Spencer? Who would you recommend?
Definitely Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much grief in such a short time too.
Yep.
That I just think that instead of just trying to, make her children live again, it's like just go to therapy and, try to work on yourself more. And maybe some good things would have happened to her. But yeah. And honestly, she's...
Hey, are you a nerd? Do you like pins? If you're like any of our followers and you said yes, you should check out our collaboration with Pinfinity. They have Power Rangers pins, Transformers pins, and for all of our bronies out there, My Little Pony pins. Go check out our link tree or use our code DSP to get 20% off your Pinfinity order today.
Actually one of my favorite characters in Marvel. I love what Elizabeth Olsen does with the character, and hope they bring her back.
They gotta. They have to.
Right. Yes.
Ooh, so
She's dead as fuck, just like Gilgamesh.
only one
That's
can come
all right.
back.
I mean,
I want to
it's
say
gonna be Gilgamesh.
There can only be one.
spoiler alert. It's kind of obvious, and I kind of feel like I need to come up with a second one, but I definitely want to say Peter Parker needs it because,
Jesus.
yeah, I mean, I can kind of relate to him a little bit because when I'm really anxious and like I get the most like insecure and nervous when it's uncertainties that I have to deal with, like, oh my God, what's going to happen if I don't get this done, right? Or I have this problem, like our ceiling is leaking. I need to figure out all this and this and this and this, and I'm frantic, and then I'm doing stuff, and I'm jumping the gun, and I'm making it worse. It's not easy, and sometimes that's literally what happened in No Way Home, right? They have all his issues. His identity gets revealed. He now can't get his friends and himself into MIT, so he tries to go to a wizard to literally erase the entire world memory of yada yada yada, and then that spirals, and then he's trying to like, oh, I can fix this. And then ultimately, he pays the ultimate price, right? I mean, that's the story of Spider-Man. So I think it really would help him if he were able to talk stuff out. But sometimes it's like he's too jittery and just acting on his spidey sense a little too much, and then not seeing the forest for the trees.
Let's be real. Spidey sense in real life is panic disorder. I mean, it's generalized anxiety. That's what he has. I mean, it's tingling, and that's you manifesting all these different thoughts and realities where you think something's going to get you. It's a small version of paranoia, which is panic disorder.
Interesting.
I think all the Spider-Man need therapy. Backtracking, memories, Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. Dude was depressed as hell. He needed therapy. Right? I mean, he's just drinking beer, eating pizza, and then he falls into this new world where he has to care for people. Therapy. I'm going to go a different direction. I think the funnest person to do therapy with, because I am a sick individual, would be Doctor Strange. I would love to get inside his mind. His mind would be fantastic. To see how it thinks and works, how he systematically approaches things, visualizes emotions, all the different realities, him playing games with me and my thoughts, me playing games with his and him thoughts. It would be a fun ride. I have clients like that, which it's a ride and my head kind of hurts afterwards. I've had some clients that are antisocial, sociopathic tendencies. Those are interesting, long as I'm not in fear that they're going to hurt anyone else. Those are interesting because they're playing a game and it's all a con. They're usually only in therapy because they've been mandated. I feel like Doctor Strange would be a fun ride. And also because the deep grief that he had in What If and then all the other shows. But now he's like healthier, but still there's a lot of stuff there that he needs to process.
Yeah.
That would be my pick for the funnest. I feel like all of your picks are perfect.
Thanks.
I would like to do therapy with all of them. I think saying that I wouldn't want to be any of their issues because they all just have too much trauma. It's just too much. It's too much.
And I'm kind of curious too, just like, I think the only time we actually really saw therapy done in the MCU was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier with Bucky and his, mandated, I think, military-based therapist too.
We saw a version of it in She-Hulk when she's doing group therapy with Abomination.
Right.
Yep. I wanted to bring something up about you, Devin. So folks that are ADHD, because you said it, so I feel like it's okay if I say it. Folks that have ADHD will also manifest more thoughts. And what we know about human and psychology is we manifest mostly negative thoughts. So you take ADHD that needs constant stimuli in the prefrontal cortex, and you're like bored and chilling. Your brain's like, we need stimuli. Let's think about all the horrible shit that could happen, or like this stupid thing I did in 2007 that I completely regret, and now I just feel gross. ADHD can affect the way you think about the entire world, and because humans are programmed on fear, because fear protects us, that could be really hard for folks like you, Devin, and folks like me.
Welcome to my Friday nights.
Oh, yeah.
No,
we're never bored.
That's true, though. Yeah.
We're never bored. It's like my students that are scared to be alone. I say, oh, you're alone, huh? You feel lonely? I said, put on a fucking scary movie at 2 a.m. You won't be lonely anymore.
That's cute. That's funny. And I think that's why sometimes, like, I'm sure you can probably relate, you always keep yourself busy. Like, Minute band.
Oh yeah.
Do a podcast. Working. Get my master's. Doing a lot of stuff.
Oh, look at you.
Can't slow down, man. Can't slow down.
And even if I'm not slowing down, I'm fucking sitting and thinking about all my clients at 2 a.m. wondering like, how can I get them better?
Or you're thinking about like, I feel like I'm guilty because I'm just wanting to sit down and watch TV, but I know I probably should be doing this other thing and this other thing and this other thing. That was my undergrad.
Oh, yeah. That's a vibe.
It's a vibe. You know what else was a vibe? Gilgamesh. But he ain't vibing.
Remember when he died?
I'm sorry.
Remember when he was killed a mesh?
I feel like let's talk about this. Hurt people hurt others.
Oh, yeah, is that right? Well, Gilgamesh got hurt real bad, didn't he?
So let's talk about the pain that you men have, and let's express your feelings.
Oh my
I do not talk like this in therapy.
Thank God.
Oh my God. For real, if your favorite character is Gilgamesh, please don't destroy our reviews and everything on however you're listening to this.
Oh,
There's
look
a
how
new poll.
bold he is.
There's a new poll on Earth894 Instagram. It's going to be old by the time the podcast comes out.
Goes.
But it's who would you
Look
rather
how
bring back
sexy
to
that man
life,
is.
Gilgamesh or Wanda? And I have
He
a
should have
feeling
showed his
Gilgamesh is going
lifeless
to
body.
get one vote. I think he gets eaten, so there's not a lifeless body to show.
Damn.
See?
Wow.
See? He got eaten. Showed me, Nas. You showed me.
I think I had that one thing on ADHD and then anxiety. Yeah. There was something about Peter Parker. Oh, here it is. I have to say this because this is bullshit. And like no one really noticed this because they don't work with students like I do that are engineers and work in STEM and folks that have been in MIT and out of MIT that now go to Purdue University. The fact that they don't neurodivergent code some of these characters and they present them as all neurotypical is BS.
I agree.
There's no way that all three of them were going to MIT and their STEM field and they're that smart, they are going to be neurodivergent. So there's going to be quirks or different manifestations of it. Like, right, I'm neurodivergent, socially pretty well and adapted. I'm a therapist, good with emotions. The fact that they don't express them as neurodivergent is a gripe with me. There's no way. There's no way. Like, Nas, how do you know this? Because I work at Purdue. It's a strictly STEM school. A lot of folks that don't get into MIT, they're going to our school. It's one of the top engineering schools in the world, let alone the nation. They're going to be neurodivergent. I don't care what anyone says. That was my last thing. I'm done.
Interesting.
Bastards.
You said you were done.
How dare you?
You just came back to hurt me.
Damn you, Sony.
Oh, good. You know, I think that's I also think that's a good way to end this episode. Just because, like, there's a lot that we could still talk about, right? I mean, you could just go on this, which I think is a good thing because it opens up more opportunity for discussion outside of this episode. So if you're listening and you want to kind of chime in and let us know, give some feedback, please contact us, Instagram, DMs, all that fun stuff, or just our email, earth894podcast@gmail.com. But also, don't stop there. Talk to the real people who actually know what they're talking about, like Nas and Spencer here. Hit up the Different Spectrums podcast and get some feedback if you guys are open to it. I don't want to speak on your behalf and be like, hey, don't be blowing up our fucking inbox.
I already did.
I don't get paid for that one.
I just want to say, though, before, I'm not a therapist. So, believe it or not, I'm not. So.
He's a support
Hit up
person.
Spencer for therapy on the low.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Spencer's like a support dog. He's just there for emotional support,
Hey, you know what? You need me to listen? I'm there. I'll go get a treat if you give it to me. All right?
Yep.
I'll do it.
There you go. Well, it has been a treat having you guys on and really appreciate, staying around and talking more about this. On a fun note, before we sign off, let's just get to know you guys a little tiny bit better. And a couple of simple questions. Because we talk so much about Marvel and about the trauma and all that. Who's actually your favorite character? When I laugh because I think I might know Nas's. But probably not. Probably not. I'm kidding.
It's not.
Nah, I'm kidding.
He said it.
Yeah, but who is your favorite character? Doesn't have to be MCU, just any Marvel character.
Magneto.
I'm honestly with you, Devin. I'm Spider-Man all the way.
Respect.
Spider pig.
That was beautiful.
Wow. I don't know
That was
what
good.
That was
impression that was.
It was a good
It was just
impression.
a fat guy doing a Spider-Man.
That was beautiful.
I love that. That's clipped.
I almost passed out.
Get this guy an amlodipine stat.
So is
Hey, yo.
Jeez.
So is Spider Pig your favorite character?
No, it's Spider Pig. Spider Pig.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. I stole Spencer's win. Antagonist. I don't know, man. It's just tough because I tend to enjoy them a lot. Thanos is up there. But like I said, Magneto is extremely up there. But I think Venom would be the take-all. Yeah. So the goal before the pandemic was to get a really cool Venom tattoo. That was going to be my treat for getting down to 300 pounds. And then the pandemic hit, and then I gained like 40 pounds. So that's been a trip. But the goal is to get it sleeved on me, Venom, and then have the genie from Aladdin intertwined with the darkness and then the blue. So it's going to be some of my favorite characters.
Will Smith
pretty cool.
or
What'd you say?
Will Smith or
No.
Which one you doing?
It won't be
I don't know.
him. Well, if I want to slap anyone.
No, the Will Smith genie. Is that what you're doing?
No.
Yeah. No? Oh, fine.
Oh, doing Robin. Obviously, I love Robin. Who doesn't love Robin? He's not hated by anyone.
Awesome. That's cool. That's really cool, actually. So outside of the characters, what is your favorite movie,
Wait a minute. What's Louis' favorite character? And your favorite character?
Louis?
I like Captain America. That's our logo is me as a much thinner, better looking man, Captain America. And if it's not him, it's Thor. I love Thor.
And I'm
Nice.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
What was the other question?
It's a favorite movie.
Spencer, you go, man. I don't know.
It's like don't say turtles. Don't say turtles. I want to say turtles.
I swear to God. He's going to. For me, that's such a tough one because I absolutely I love Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Same.
I thought that movie the tone of it and everything was just amazing. And the fact that, just having Bucky back as the Winter Soldier, so great. But then I also loved, I actually really loved Age of Ultron, honestly. That was, I love James Spader as Ultron. And then we got to see Quicksilver for a moment. And there was just so much. And then that built up to Civil War and things like that. So
Nice.
So, I mean, it gets kind of replaced here and there. So that last Spider-Man, it's tough for me to beat that one out. But before that, for a long standing with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think I'm still going to go with 2. Yeah, funny characters, the loss. There's just so many emotions. There's Groot's in there doing his thing. That's been one of my staples. The soundtrack, I enjoyed it as well. There you go. That's got to be in there. And then I would say it's the last Spider-Man that's right there. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Guardians 2. That was one of my favorites ever. So many different things.
Nice. Louis, what is your favorite?
The Eternals. I really love the scene where Gilgamesh gets fucking eaten alive. No, my favorite Marvel movie is Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, fuck, that was the other one that was up there. Yeah, solid one.
It's a good one.
Yep, super good.
I'm in the same boat, man. I love Spider-Man, but Winter Soldier, that movie, I will never not watch the entire thing. If it's on, I will sit down, stop what I'm doing. Love that movie. And Henry Jackman's score in that gets me so pumped. So pumped. And then No Way Home is my number 2, and then kind of goes down the list. But I like to hear that, Guardians 2, because honestly, I'm in the boat where I think Guardians 2 is better than Guardians 1.
Oh, I thought that was like a consensus that Guardians 2 was better than Guardians 1.
A lot of people
did not
actually
like it as much.
Yeah, some people really don't even like Guardians 2 at all. They almost put it in the same boat as Thor 2. Yeah.
I like Guardians 2, but it is not better than Guardians 1.
Guardian 1 had so much emotion with his mom, and just when he had the stone in his hand at the end and the dancing, yeah, so much.
Bereaved.
And Groot.
Yeah. True. I just thought Guardians of the Galaxy Ragnarok is up there. I forgot about that one. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I might have fucked that one up there, but no, Guardians was my thing for a long time.
Awesome groups. This has been a very therapeutic discussion, if I might say it.
Yeah, I passed out twice.
Yeah, we didn't even have to cut. It's all live footage. Yeah, it was just what the doctor ordered, maybe. It was that guy was a little strange, so I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. But for real, thank you guys so much for being on this episode. It's been a blast. You guys are welcome anytime you want to come back. We promise we won't go as hard on the Gilgamesh destruction, but how often?
Ned is fat and brown. He's still alive. You can be a fan of Ned.
Fuck is Ned?
Exactly.
Ned is Spider-Man's friend. Ned.
Oh, there we go.
Guy in a
He had
chair.
no idea. He just remembered.
And he's bald in real life.
Isn't he supposed
He's
to?
basically you.
He's supposed to get superpowers too, isn't he?
He could
Maybe
be the
he can-
hobgoblin.
That's what I thought.
He can make portals.
Yeah. Where can the good folks find you guys? Listen to the pod, all that good stuff.
You can find us on all social media platforms, and then we also have a link tree connected to our Instagram. So if you want to hit us up at different_spectrums, you'll find us there.
Yep.
Awesome.
Follow us. Appreciate it. We're doing a hard push. We're trying to get to 8,000 followers on Instagram. We're trying to get to 200 on YouTube. That's the goal that we're doing right now. We're trying to do that hard push. We will release 3 pods a week coming in January because I'm getting busy, but also we're getting a little bit better with the quality. So much appreciated. Much love to all the followers that we have. I'm going to give a shout out to y'all, man, because y'all been with us kind of since day one. Like, I don't know how
Thanks, man.
you got recommended to us, but y'all been down with us since day one.
Yeah, that's
And I
really
appreciate
cool.
the likes and follows and like you watching this stuff. I just appreciate y'all. That's why we wanted to do this pod. We got some other ones kind of lined up with some other nerdy therapists, but it was pretty cool to do it with y'all first.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Yep.
Has this been your first time guesting on a different pod?
Yes.
Hey, we're keeping up the streak. I think we've done this
Nobody else wants us.
2 times. You know, I'm not going to say, I might be a little biased here, but sometimes Louie and I have invited other shows and other pod hosts on our show. And then next thing you know, we see them guesting here, then guesting there, then guesting there. You know, just remember the small guys when, you know, you reach those goals you just rattled off, right? You know?
Oh, shit. I just like talking to y'all in general, so we're going to do this again.
Heck yeah, man. Honestly, it's been a blast. And, you know, it's for real. It is really cool to be like, hey, they're doing something really cool that I don't see other people doing. Oh, I'm going to follow these guys and then, you know, get to be friends and you get to talk and, you know, you have nights like this.
Oh, no.
So it's really
we're going
cool.
to do it again.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I had something else cool to say about y'all, and then I forgot.
You know, it's okay. But anytime you want to let us know, just feel free. I don't mind the compliments at all. We're Leos, so we like it.
Oh, that's that space people stuff.
Yep. That's why we're called Earth 894, because Louie and I are born August of 94, days apart.
I love space people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
but
love
yeah.
how like you're the I don't know. He's like me, kind of weird, and then you're kind of like Spence. I feel like there's some similarities, multiverses going on here.
Oh yeah, every good team is like the color commentator and the Devin. I don't know what's the play by play
Commentator, play by
the
play.
play by play guy. Devin's our play by play guy. I'm the color commentator. Every good duo has that.
I was going by size and weirdness. That's what I was going by. That was my
Oh.
levels of quantifying. Sorry.
I'm fat and weird. You are correct. You are correct in that.
Yeah. And that's why I like you. I like your face.
Oh, you like me now.
You're just like Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Well, it's not good now. Now it gets obsessive. You're going to need to get a restraining order, but we'll talk about that later.
You're only one state away.
Complete joke. I'm not like that. My clients know this. I'm not trying to scare away people from therapy. God damn it.
Nah, I think, if anything, I think you may have encouraged. You know, actually, how about just why not? Is there any resources you would recommend for people who, you know, after this episode, they're like, you know what? Maybe I should check it out. What would you point someone in the direction who has never had any sort of help?
So glad you talked about this, dude. I appreciate this because this might actually save a few people's lives at the end of this. If you've never had counseling before, they are real people. We have heart and emotions. We are funny. We are awkward. So please speak up. Those of us of color that do not go to therapy, that do not talk about emotions, please speak up. As we've seen in these suicides that have been happening in the media recently, and of course, some of our beloved Power Ranger that died. People, we need to talk. We need to talk. If you are suicidal, you don't even have to remember the number anymore. You just text 988 or you call 988. That's a suicide hotline number. It has been shortened. It'll send you to the call center that's nearest to your cell phone's area code. So please use that resource. If you're looking for therapy, please look for it in your communities. If you want to go to a clinic, or let's say you don't got a good insurance, go look for clinics in the community. Most therapists will work with you. If you're on state insurance like Medicaid, there will be certain places that you can go that will take you. There might be waiting lists. Get on the waiting list. If you actually have insurance that's pretty good, then you can see a private counselor. Go to the website Psychology Today. You'll be able to find all the private counselors in the state that you live in, and you meet via telehealth. I also work for a company called BetterHelp. I am a full-time counselor at Purdue University. That's mainly what I work with, folks that are neurodivergent, students of color. But on BetterHelp, Talkspace, those are great websites to use that are telehealth throughout the whole nation. If you have the money, please speak up. Do not allow yourself to just die alone in your bed. There's no reason. There are people that are out there that will support you and that will help you. There's podcasts like this that are super cool, that are help you feel like a little bit less nerdy and a little bit more like normalized. But reach out. Follow some inspirational, not just inspirational, follow some therapists on Instagram and TikTok. Try to find some good stuff to pay attention to. Work on your journaling, working on your emotional regulation. If you want to work on emotional regulation, watch the Groot series. You can learn how to take a bubble bath. I know, I'm sorry, Spencer, but I'm just being for real. And as Spence, me and talk about a lot on our podcast, find your supports, whether it's mentors, parents, professors. If it's your best friends, open up to them, start talking. Don't trauma dump, but start talking to people. There's a lot of depression, a lot of suicide out there these days, and there's a lot of people that want to help like me. Please reach out.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I hope, even if it only reaches one person, and then that's one person that, didn't have it before, I highly recommend it too. It is great. It's helped me a lot, even with on the personal side of being better task manager for my ADHD brain. Helped a lot because I got diagnosed when I was, 26. So it made my life make sense. I thought I was just bad at learning. And I don't know how I got an engineering degree. Let me tell you, I can go on a whole nother episode about that experience. Ugh. You ever see Whiplash? That was my junior and senior year of college. Yeah.
There's a lot of shame in ADHD. We got a pod coming up, fan requested on the show Mom. And it's about ADHD and her getting diagnosed, and it's like super sad. But there's some gifts with ADHD, hyperfocus. There's a lot of good things about it. But I'm glad that you had me talk about this.
Yeah, thank you guys so much again. So make sure to check out Different Spectrums podcast and everything. Check out the show notes. Got some awesome, cool links. And not only ourselves, but we're looking forward to seeing what you guys got, and hopefully reach those 8,000 follower goals and all that fun stuff. You guys are killing it in the best way possible. So excited to have you on for today's episode, and I promise I wasn't a Gilgamesh pun or anything like that after all the context and everything, but for real. Thank you guys so much.
Wander Middle Earth.